Hey everybody, this is Renée Piane, international love designer and author of Get Real About Love and Love Mechanics. And I am here at this beautiful store in Santa Monica, California on Main Street. It's called Hiptique. And these girls, I came in here actually to get a donation for my holiday toy drive, and they asked me to come here to talk to some of their clients about love and relationships. So this is my specialty. I know that I'm a community connector. I am formerly the pioneer of the first speed dating company along with my former partner, Leanne. Hi, Leanne, if you're out there watching. But most importantly, my life has been dedicated to bringing people together in the community. And I love the fact that this whole community on the West Side helped me to support the Los Angeles Police Department, and Hiptique was one of those people. So when I came in, the girls were so friendly, and when they heard that I'm a love designer and I help people to open their hearts to love, they invited a bunch of women and men to come here tonight to pick my brain about breakups, about shakeups, and about the wake-up calls that keep our hearts locked up. And I have been in this industry, girls, all you, thank you everybody for being here. Woo! We're so glad you're here. We have a special guest tonight, Suzie G Style.com. She's a stylist, and you know Suzie G, we'll have her on in a little while. I have been a stylist, an image makeover specialist, and also wedding planner for many years. And it's very important. Come over here. Let's talk to her for a few minutes before. Because she is gonna, she's so busy doing the styling blog that she has. Hi, this is her. So nice to see you.
Yes,
I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. These are my family in here.
Yeah, and part of getting real about love is looking at your style, right?
Right, definitely, 100%.
And so, you and I are kind of in the same thing. So
yes.
She's a younger version of me, and she's out doing like the tweeting and the blogging and everything. So you ought to check her out. And but I always tell people, men and women,
right,
that the first impression is a lasting one, right?
100%. I
Yeah.
think especially like when you go out at night, your presence and what you're wearing and how you carry yourself all together, really makes a difference in not selling yourself, but in feeling confident.
Yeah, and most people think I don't know about you, but when I go to clients, they have all these beautiful things hanging. Like, you should see the stuff here at Hiptique. Personally, they have beautiful things. I've bought things here many times, and I just had a friend show up. She bought a dress and a sexy shirt, and she was like so excited. But when I go into people's closets, don't you notice? Right. Like, you're like, what about this? And they're like, I bought that 3 years ago, right?
I've never worn it.
And I've never worn it. So why do people do that?
I have no idea. I know even like for me, if I'm running errands around town and I don't feel that what I'm wearing or I look tired, like I kind of notice that my energy is different.
Your vibe is down.
And so I think that people do that all the time. They have these great pieces in their closet and they never wear them. And I think if they would put different things on, I feel like your energy turns around.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think going into their closets and helping them put looks together is a really big factor, especially when you're getting back out there in the game.
Well, that's what I do. I help people get back in the game of love, and maybe you could call her or me, But tonight we're talking about heartbreaks. There's people here that have been going through relationship stuff, and I know probably many of your bloggers go through that. So. Yes. Maybe you could, people probably say, what do I do now, right?
Right. We've all gone through bad relationships and bad breakups. Yeah. And I think that's what's great is that every girl I know has gone through a breakup. So it's nice to talk about it with other people because then you kind of see that you're not the Lone Ranger out there.
Well, I have to say my book is kind of an expose of my whole entire life. Everybody that's out there, I've been in the love business 28 years here in Los Angeles. And I've been responsible for thousands of marriages, but more importantly, I finally let myself find love, right? And everyone realized, like, every time I was on all the talk shows all over the country, and everybody would say the question that every single person hates: why are you still single? I can't believe it. You look so cute and blah, blah, blah. Why are you single? Men get the question from women. Women get the question from men. So I think tonight we were talking, you said, I hate that question, right? Or your bloggers hate that question, right? Is that true?
Oh, I think it's so hard to take in. I've got several friends that are single that are beautiful, successful, gorgeous women, and people ask him that all the time. And I think you almost feel defeated when someone asks you that, because you're kind of, people, you know, say that to so many others, and I don't think you realize that it's not that it's hurtful, but it's, you kind of question, like, well, why are they asking me that?
Well, it puts you on the defensive. And if you have a heartbreak going on, it makes you sometimes, depending on if you're drinking at the time, girls and men out there, if you're drinking and somebody on a date, if you haven't had an appetizer and you came from work after a Tinder date and you're sitting there, woo, right? So you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a cocktail because I'm nervous, right? So then you sit there, you drink your cocktail, no food has come, the guy's not there, other men are hitting on you at the bar, and you're like, oh my God. And then this guy walks in and he's like, hi, and then you're like really nervous, so you slug whatever you're drinking, and then this is the get real, like, and then the first thing they're like, oh my God, I didn't, you know, I never expected you to look so good or whatever, and then they go, why are you still single? And then you're like, "Rrr." So
That's the right answer to that question, Renee.
well, I always say, you know what, I've done a lot of reflection about that, because I know that I dated some people that weren't right for me. I'm sure because we're both single, right? I kind of did a pushback on him.
Oh, I like it.
And then I would say, and so, you know, you go through different types of people and you learn more about yourself. And now I realize that I really wasn't ready at the time, and now I am. So you're making a positive statement, you're proclaiming what you want now, and you're not getting triggered, because we all have, and in my book I talk about the negative parts of us and the positive parts. Like, we all have this voice in our heads like, oh no, he's making me feel bad, right? And this little girl voice or a little boy voice shows up in your head like, is she judging me? This reminds me of my mother or my sister or whoever, or my last girlfriend. And then all of a sudden the insecure part shows up, and then you combine that with tequila, alcohol, or gin or whatever, and then it turns into you defending yourself, and the person then sees a side of you that really shouldn't show up. And I did that, and many of you, I've been here in this room earlier this evening talking to many of you about your plights with men. And how many of you, raise your hand, have stayed too long with somebody? Anybody? Yeah? Wow. There's a almost everybody here has stayed too long. Now, I, as a mentor to you younger women, I want to say that I had a huge block inside of my soul from getting hurt when I was very young. So what my book is about, and what my Get Real About Love work is about, now Suzie, you, hairdressers, you know, facialists, all the people that build our confidence back, right?
Yes.
They're all becoming partners with me. My goal this year is to create other people that are in the styling business or the hair business or the makeup business to partner with me to help their sad clients, because what do? We go hi, and then they go, oh my God, I'm in a breakup, and you're like, I'll pay you anything, make me look good, make me feel good, make my heartbreak go away, right? Right?
Absolutely.
So when that happens, you have to have people that can get you out of your crap. Because what happens is, if you get hurt, so this is what I see, it's kind of like I wish I had a board. Men go through it too, okay? So now,
get over it in one day.
It looks that way, but I have to tell you, the way my business started, and I'll give you a little history, and it's in my book. I came out to Los Angeles. I was a bridal consultant, makeover specialist. So a friend of mine asked me to teach a bunch of guys a class called How to Pick Up Girls. So I showed up in this class, and I had a 15-minute segment about style.
For men?
For men. It was a room full of men.
They need
a
style.
room full of men. They all had on, like, one guy had his belly between his legs, and he had a t-shirt that said shit on it, and then another guy had so I got all the guys to stand up and do like a parade around the room, and I said, let's look at everybody's shoes. So the shoes were bad, the clothes were bad, they had tight shirts with tufts of hair coming out. So anyway, I got into one of these moods like I'm in right now, because I have had a little bit of tequila. And I said to these guys, you will never get laid in those clothes, number one. Number two, you're not. And so what happened that night, though, this was back in 1992. I was in this room with 40 men, all going through breakups and divorces. And I have to say, no, most of you women, if you're watching this, don't realize that men have not had Prince training. They didn't get a book.
No.
Right.
We all have thousands of books. There's every book. Now, you girls have probably written Meet Your Soulmate and How to Meet a Guy in 10 Minutes and all this. But if your heart is broken from when you were young, or you had role models of your mother and father not being together, or you had imprints, I call them love imprints, of divorce and infidelity and cheating, depending on who you were brought up from. Now, I'm 100% Italian, and I think a bunch of you are Italian, right? Italian. Hello, all you Italians. There's a lot of cheating going on back in there. Okay, so in my family in particular, I did a study, and I teach you how to do it, how to do an investigation of your lineage of love. And this is super amazing, okay? It's something very different. I feel that in my business, I'm going to brag a little bit. I did win the top dating coach for the world in 2014, and I'm up for it again this year. But the most important thing is that love for all of you, if you didn't have good role models, or your mom was sad growing up, or your aunts, or your grandmother, or your cousins, or people that influence you, or when you were really young, you may have gotten hurt by a boy.
Right.
So did you ever get hurt when you were really young? Who was your first love? This is a really cool question. Think about it. Everybody that's here, think about who was your first love. Because this is what happens. When you're young, you're a happy young girl. You have your fantasy of love. Here's you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And there's your little do. And then at 14, you were 14. Now, was that your first heartbreak? That was her first, hurt. Okay? And then you doubted yourself. Most of us put thoughts into our minds during the time that we get X'd, communicated. Then we start to be mean to ourselves and doubt ourselves. And then you'll end up meeting another person that treats you the way you're treating yourself. This is a big key here. The way you're thinking and treating yourself at the time you attract someone. So right now, I want you, whoever you are watching this, to look at how you were feeling when you met Johnny or Steven or Michael or whatever his name is, Mario. Remember? Hello, Mario. I did write about you. I told you I would. And your story's in here. And your wife might get mad because Mario was a man. I was young. I was in my prime. I was doing television. I was doing Good News Network for 7 years.
You missed the boat.
I did a story at a gym about finding love at the gym. So talk about marks. I had a mark that kept me tied up from that man for many years. I met him there, and I knew right away. Now, how many of you have known right away that somebody really might not be your guy, but you kind of they started pursuing you, right? So I knew that night, and he said, I want to go out with you. I said, you're too old school, you're Italian, you're East Coast, you're too old fashioned for me. And I knew, but he pursued and pursued. It was a TV show about love. So what I'm saying is our gut instincts usually tell us. Yes. And then as soon as you drop your panties, girls, as soon as you have tequila, and you're vulnerable in a room, naked on a couch on the third date, and the guy is pressuring you to get some love, and he's saying all the right things, and he's doing all the right things. This is the key to you stopping the pattern, because most men and women in the dating world, because I've done events for 500,000 people all over the country, how many of you, usually it's the third date rule, guys think, by the third date, they take you to dinner once, a movie, and then they're back making out. They take you back to your place after dinner on the third date, and they're locking you down on the couch, and then that's when you're going to make the decision, right? So if you've had some tequila or some wine or whatever, and you're also feeling like this, you're going to have one part of you that has had happy things happen and the other part of you that has had damaging things happen fight yourself in that moment when you're half naked on a couch. Is this true? Right? Yeah. So when you are in this vulnerable place, really not feeling good about yourself, you need to get real. Do you know this person? Do you know where they work? Have you ever met anybody that knows them? Are they who they say they are? Why would you give yourself away at that moment in a vulnerable position after you've known somebody when you really actually think, get real, you've known them maybe 12 hours?
It's true. You know,
because you went out on a date, you went out on one date, 2 dates, right?
Yeah, I've never even thought to have asked those questions. I mean, I always trust my gut feeling, but to even really just stop and think, like, wait.
So what I suggest you do is put your drink down, put your bra back on, go back in the bathroom before your underwear falls off, and say to yourself, look in the mirror and say, am I really ready for this guy? Do I know enough about him or her? This could be her, a vixen that's, I have a lot of really wealthy, successful men who get, they have a beautiful girl coming onto them. All of a sudden, they don't know why. Well, he drives in a Maserati or a Porsche, whatever. He's in Malibu at Nobu, and he's got, nice clothes on, and she's thinking, wow, I could probably sucker this guy out of some stuff, So she seduces him with her beauty. She's not really that into him because she's broke. I know a lot of these women. And I'm telling you, so you guys got to realize men have imprints too. Right. Really nice guys have imprints. Some of the nicest men. I have to say, there are thousands out there, ladies, of really nice men who have a little boy inside of them, just like your little girl, okay? So when you meet a man, before you jump in, you need to talk to him about, I'm going to make a man here. Isn't this cute? He's got spiked hair. He's really cool, okay? But this man, no matter how popular he is, the more he's studied, the more he's educated. A lot of times they didn't have emotional training about relationships. So if you really, just ask him, say, have you been married? And he'll say, well, I was married. Well, tell me about what happened. You can find, or tell me about your family. Oh, I'm not close to my family. My parents were divorced for years. I'm kind of on my own. I'm a lone wolf. Warning sign. Things like that.